Like, so we've got the Bookish boutique that's downtown. Your place is right in the middle of like all the construction right now.
Yep.
How's that affecting everything?
So they're actually pouring Sidewalk literally today. So
Nice.
this is like the perfect time to ask that question. But no, it's been a very like painful process. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I knew when I signed my lease back in December of 2023, so pretty much, just over a year ago, I knew that it was coming. I mean, it's not like I wasn't told, like I was fully aware of what was going to happen. It started in September of last year, but my thoughts were once it's completed, everyone's going to want to be downtown because everything's going to be new. It's going to be nice. And I didn't want to miss out on that opportunity. So that's why I kind of like made the leap and signed the lease. And literally the day that they started ripping up the roads, like everything changed. It was just, I won't say it's a ghost town. It's crazy how you just kind of fence off the road and you still have all of the sidewalks, but people don't like walking. They don't like walking here. I'm like, you guys, like, there's plenty of people. I mean, think how many people go to Disney or like just an amusement park in general. You walk way more than what you would walk, just to even go to like lunch or shopping downtown. But I think it's just the perspective of people trying to like change that. I personally walk everywhere downtown, but it's also because I'm downtown every day. But as soon as that road was gone and there's like no cars that were able to drive down there, that's kind of when everything changed. So I really just like took it upon myself. I do all of my own marketing at Bookish. But there's not really like a marketing person downtown. I mean, you kind of are each of your own down there. And I took it upon myself and just started marketing downtown as a whole and just tried to do my part to continue to bring people downtown, but I never actually really posted about our road being tore up. So a lot of our followers, I don't know the exact like percentage, but a majority of our followers on Bookish Boutique, a lot of people don't live here. And so I didn't really post about the road because I'm like, well, if I can just get them down here, if they can't find us, they'll call us. But if you're planning a vacation, you see an entire downtown is ripped up, you're probably not going to add that to your itinerary. And the stores are still there. Everyone is still open. So I actually really didn't post about it on Bookish Boutique just because there was this like huge negative just vibe that I guess went with it. And even when people come in, they have no idea what's even happening. And it's like, okay, well, first off, it's happening because the infrastructure needs to be updated. It's not like the city just decided, oh, let's just put down some cobblestone. Like there's so much more that comes with it. And I only know this because my fiance works in underground utilities. So I'm not like a pro when it comes to this. I'm like, okay, break this down for me. But and then obviously I looked at the plans and, we're getting almost like triple the size of a sidewalk. So that means as a business owner, I can have outdoor seating. That's a game changer in itself. So I know that there's a lot of like, it seems as though just based on like what I hear from people that come into my own store, that it's this negative thing, but it's really not. Like it's going to help downtown develop even more, in my opinion. It's just getting there. So yeah, I really had to hustle on the marketing to just try to continue to get people down there. We are one of the few people that have a back door. There's a lot of businesses that don't have a back door, and we also have a back parking lot. So we were like having book fairs in our back parking lot back. The first one we had was April, so almost a year ago, just training people that we have this, alleyway. We have literally an alleyway that runs along the side of our building. We have this back parking lot. So it was kind of like my secret marketing tactic to train people. Yeah. We can still be reached even with the road under construction. So, but yeah, it's been really rough. December was our worst month of the year. Yeah,
we just we had Robbie Hughes on. He's running for Ward.
I think it's 4.
I think it's Ward 4, which I think is down.
Yeah.
And he was explaining the road situation because we've all seen the different posts on Facebook about Cobblestone, which actually isn't true. They're pavers, but
right?
Paver roads, and of course they've been shrinking the road, which actually Robbie he gave us a little bit of it was a fresh a breath of fresh air the other day because he said it's actually not going to be as compact as what it is on the south side of Harrison that's been done so far. So it's not going to be as cramped. And getting a bigger sidewalk. But the utilities thing is a big deal because Josh Street, we just had him on from the city of Panama City too. And he said that a lot of the infrastructure that we have, like underground utilities and stuff, I mean, we're talking, they're so far outdated. Yeah. And so, a lot of these things have to be done sooner or later. So if people can complain all day about whatever, but having the facts straight, I think you're right, because it's like, no, it's not just for the road. Yeah. Like, there was a lot of improvements that need to be done. Yeah. Something that's interesting right there in front of Bookish Boutique, though, back during Christmas, back before Christmas, me and my daughter, we walked all through all of those boutiques that's right there. I didn't even know that half of them were there. I didn't know yours was there. I didn't learn about it on Facebook or social media or anything. I just got down there and I started walking. But the whole thing, people are lazy now. I feel like COVID made people a lot more lazy. I mean, now you don't even have to walk around a grocery store. You just show up and you park in a parking spot and someone brings it out and puts it in the back of your car. And I see it a lot, but when I go downtown, traffic or parking is a thing. I think I ate at history class the other evening, and I mean, I parked all the way down to the marina near Harrison's just to be able to go and eat. But I don't mind walking. Yeah. But most of the people that go and hang out in the types of shops that are downtown, I mean, you need to expect to like walk. I mean, I took my staff and we went down south. Like, it was a little town. I think it was called like Winter Garden or Winter Haven or something. Winter Park,
Yeah, and I don't know if you've been to their downtown. Very similar to like what we're trying to be. And you walk everywhere. I mean, you park your car, very limited parking, but that's like kind of, just like what you do when you go downtown. So hopefully that mindset will change whenever it's done, because everything will be nicer. The biggest hurdle, and I didn't realize it until it was gone, was not having street lights. I did not know like how just like impactful that would be, because we're open 7 days a week, and we're also open past 5 o'clock. So we're open when it's dark outside. A lot of businesses downtown, they close at 5. So they don't, depending on when the time changes, they didn't really suffer like I did. So not having street lights was crazy, because it looks like nothing is there at night, and it's kind of creepy. You don't want to walk down there. So I think that's what I'm the most excited about. And just the weirdest way is just having street lights. So.
I think if you grew up here, downtown Panama City was not the place to hang out.
I was not allowed to go downtown. I was allowed to go to Tommy Oliver, and then I needed to come home. So
like back when Corner Pocket was down there and all of that. I mean, Panama City, downtown Panama City is a completely different place right now. Yeah, and I like the direction they've gone. But I do have a question for you about the bookstore. So something that's crazy that kind of happens that has evolved over the years. Like, I can go on my phone or my tablet and I can download a book. Yeah. Now, I'm kind of a tradition. I like having books. Right. I like the fact that I have a hardcover book that I can just go and take off the shelf. So like, books are my thing, but right now, is it difficult to try to get in the business as far as like being a bookstore? Because now people can just download a book and have it on their phone within 5 minutes.
It was definitely a concern. And I've had a few people ask me, they're like, how did you even get funded to like start a business? I literally was not approved any sort of loans, because banks consider bookstores too risky for that reason there, because it's just changing so much. So I mean, it definitely was something that I had in the back of my mind. But on the flip side of that, I'm also competing with corporate stores like Amazon, even though they don't have a physical location. But I also knew that I was not going to be anything like that cookie cutter like bookstore. We really were going to give people an experience, and there's only so much of an experience you can get when you just like get on your Kindle or phone and just buy a book. Like, you're just simply wanting to read it. We wanted to have people that come in, go to a book signing, get to meet the authors. We have like book trivia nights. So my goal was that they would come in, give us the opportunity to earn their business, and then we've created a lot of friendships out of that. I mean, that's just not the same experience that you would get. Now, that's completely up to you as a customer to decide, you know, are you going to want to just get on your Kindle and read a book? But we have people that they literally only read on Kindles, but they still come in and support us. So like we have a really big like gift section in the bookstore. So we like have different like Kindle accessories and those sort of things. But there's still a good amount of people. So actually my store manager, she exclusively only reads on her Kindle, but every book that she loves, she will buy the paperback or hardcover of it because she wants a shelf trophy.
Yeah.
I mean, book people are passionate, and it's just like, you know, if you have some sort of hobby, like, I don't know, like, if you collect action figures, like you're going to spend, it doesn't matter how much it is, you're going to buy it because it's something that you like. So even though there are lots of people that read electronically, a lot of them still like to get that exclusive, you know, signed copy, whatever. And we're lucky enough that that is a huge part of our audience that we cater to. So a lot of that is due to BookTok. So
do you think you'll ever expand and like put another store somewhere else? Because I feel like something like that would do really, really good in Lynn Haven.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm partial to Lynn Haven because I live in Lynn Haven.
Yeah.
And I really would like to see their downtown kind of boom the way that Panama City has done. Obviously, it's not going to be at that rate right now, but something like that. But it seems like if you had more locations, I mean, have you even is that in
I've considered it. I'm like a huge like entrepreneur, and I always, you know, like want to expand and like do new things. But I'm not gonna lie, the road construction kind of put the brakes on a little bit.
You're not the
for
only
me.
one that talked about the road construction. So I had, do you know Nathaniel Taylor?
Yes, yeah.
I don't know how well friends you are with him.
His wife is like our number one customer.
Dude, he when he came on the show, I mean, he talked about how devastating it was to CNG.
Yeah.
Because he was like, dude, it destroyed like revenue overnight.
Well, and like I hear this too, and I never know like the right way to approach it because it's always just people on social media that are super opinionated about it. But I kind of like not really got in an argument, but like there was like this lady that truly believed that businesses downtown were getting grants for this road construction, and I'm like, no, like that's not. I would love to know who told you this.
Grants for road construction?
Yeah, for like the loss of income per se. And I'm like, that is out there. I would love to apply for it, but there's not. I mean, I've looked into it and all of that, but I think that was like a huge misconception on if we were being compensated.
I feel like there probably should have been some type of some type of program that might have been set up for you guys beforehand. Because I mean, if you look at, I mean, some of those, the shops and boutiques, and you know, this is not a slam or anything, but they're a niche. I mean, they're a specific niche. So it's not like you're selling. Do you guys have like a coffee shop or anything? Or?
We literally just had a coffee shop that opened next door to us like a month ago.
Like, I feel like if you're, you know, something like that restaurant,
we're a leisure store. It's thing, and we talk about that a lot. So the other end of Harrison didn't have a lot of those stores. A lot of them were bars, restaurants, you know, even, you know, clearly C&G suffered, and think how long they've been in business. All of the people on our block have barely been in a business for 3 years, and they sell things that not everyone has to have. I mean,
has there been any businesses that have gone out? Or gone
yes,
under?
But not like not necessarily because of the road construction, but I think they chose to exit because they knew it was coming. Like Little Mustard Seed, you know, they went out to Pier Park, and they're still at Pier Park. And then Board and Brush, they were next door to us. They're no longer in business, but they also like that was like not their full-time job. So so there hasn't necessarily been anyone that has closed, but there have been businesses that have kind of come and gone.
So they have there's been a hit.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty. But I think So when are they saying, what is the estimated date that it's supposed to be like completed?
So the 400 block, from what I understand, they should be done by April, which I think that there should be no reason why. I mean, they're pouring sidewalks today, so the next step is the pavers, but they have to be done with everything by September.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a 1 year project essentially.
Yeah. And then fall, I mean, you'll have fall right there, and that's when people get out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it'll probably make a big comeback. There'll probably be more shops that open up down there.
I think so too. I think now people are kind of seeing that it's coming along and that it's actually happening, because I think a lot of people were like, oh, is it actually only going to be a year? Or, you know, what is going to happen? But I go to like all of the downtown improvement board meetings.
Yeah.
And you hear people, they're like, put me on a list, like call me if there's a building available. So there's definitely, you know, there's a demand. It's just a lot of the buildings that are empty are so big that, like, I think there's one and it's like 30,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be a very specific business to be able to like take that on. And I don't think we're quite there yet. So, but yeah.
So how many employees do you employ now?
So we have 7 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
you guys have quite a few then for the bookstore.
Yeah. So we have 7 people, but we're also open 7 days a week. So we're open 9 to 6 Monday through Saturday, and then Sundays 10 to 4. So because of that, we kind of have to have a little bit bigger of a team to be able to swing all of those hours.
And I saw you're like doing clinics where you'll teach social media marketing.
Yeah. So I do social media, like coaching and consulting myself, but there's also lots of amazing people in this community that also are very good at it. So I try to collaborate with them. Like we had one yesterday. You may know her, Megan McDougall. She's real big into St. Andrews. She has blue hair. She's an Uber driver. Follow her on Facebook. She's very interesting. But like she came in and I think it was like a class of like 10 people, and she was just teaching them how to make good content and turn it into making money. So
yeah, that's a thing of itself, isn't it, nowadays?
Yeah.
Like right now, it seems like it's like a prerequisite to be a teenager now. It's like how to create content.
Well, there's a lot to learn. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. And then especially when you start getting into the video editing side of things, and then you're creating your own content.
Yeah.
And then, man, that gets
It's pretty intense.
And then if you're using it but you're more on the marketing aspect for businesses.
Yeah. So when I first opened, I actually almost like every other day I would go out and take video content, and I would do kind of like a cross collaboration video between Bookish and, like, for example, Point Break Arcade. So like I would like take a book, and like it would be a Pokemon book, and I would go over to Point Break Arcade and like just do different things like that. Because the one thing that I've learned from being self-employed is like the best thing you can do is cross collaborations. Like it's free marketing. Like you meet like-minded people that are also self-employed, probably dealing with like the same daily struggles, that other business owners have. So, somebody asked me the other day, I can't remember exactly what the question was, but they were like, do you think Bookish would be like what it is today if it wasn't downtown? And no, it would not be who it is today. I mean, so I don't know if there would ever be a future location of Bookish Boutique, because it's such just a specific place. I really like my neighbors. I feel like we have like the perfect group of different businesses down there. And my other business that I did have a storefront too. It was in Lynn Haven. We were in the Winn-Dixie Plaza, and we were next to like chain stores. I mean, I had great neighbors, but I couldn't like do like a cross collaboration event with Pizza Hut. Like, I mean, I was very limited on what I could do. Like, they were nice people, but that's what I love about downtown. 'Cause I don't know if you've like seen people post about it, but they're like, what do you think about chain companies coming downtown? And it's like, well, that would kind of take away from what I think downtown is. And that's what I love about downtown, is because nobody can come in and say, you can't do that, or corporate said I can't do that. You're kind of free to do whatever you want to do, which is really nice. And it's kind of, like broadened, I guess, like my marketing ideas or what have you. I'm not boxed in, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's been really nice. It's been really nice having neighbors that have been in business for a lot longer than me. I have now like several friends. I would call them like good friends. Like there's one neighbor of mine, it's called Jute and Palm. She's like one of the leisure stores down there, more of like home decor and stuff, but she's
like right next to you.
Yeah, she's just like two doors down.
Yeah, we went in there. I'm definitely going. I'm going decoration Christmas shopping there next year.
Yeah,
I had to tell my wife about it because they had tons of.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, like if you, and I feel like they had a way better selection than Dillard's did.
Yeah.
This year.
No, she always has great stuff, and it's not super expensive either. I mean, it's priced reasonably in my opinion, but she kind of like took me under her wing whenever I moved down there.
This wasn't like her and her mom do it together or something like that?
She did have a business partner at one point, but right now it's just her. I think she just celebrated 3 years. So she really kind of made her entrance right around the time it was, up and coming. But she kind of like took me in and was like, they have all these meetings down here. I'm like, what is DIB? Like, what does that even mean? And
what is DIB?
DIB is the Downtown Improvement Board. So they have like.
Are you on the board or you just go to the
not
meetings?
right now. I mean, I am considering. I mean, you have to apply and go through an application process. But
so what does that board do?
So they have a board. I'm trying to think. It's either 6 or 7 people, and there's a specific tax that is over like a district downtown, and they have the board so that the board can vote on what is done with that money. And so they do a lot of different things. There's like so much in the works right now. Like, I don't know if you've heard about it, but they kind of are working on a project on trying to get a playground in Mackenzie Park. That's always been a need, but it's like,
did not know that.
Where does the money come from? So Alan Branch and I like had to express to him I would love to see a playground downtown, and he was like, well, let's put together a committee. And so we just started having meetings, and then there were a couple different people that wanted to be a part of it. So there's like that project. They're working on doing some uplighting in Mackenzie Park. I don't know if you've seen it before. They have it like down south, but it's like it's not just like white lights. It's like different colored lights. You like project it on the trees and stuff. So, I mean, they definitely, they want to see downtown improve. I want to say don't quote me on this, but I want to say it was like activated maybe back in like 2015. So it's still fairly new. But they also, they put a lot of money into these different community events that happen downtown too, because the money has to come somewhere. There's always an expense for some sort of event. And so they'll vote on where that money goes. Like they have a Chalk Flux that's happening in 2 weeks from now. It's their 5th year. It's this huge chalk art festival that Bay Arts puts on, but they have to get different sponsors for it because it's a 3-day event. But like they have artists coming from Disney. I mean, it's crazy. There's so much that goes on downtown that people still don't know about, which makes me so sad.
Yeah, there are tons of things that go on downtown. I know me and my wife, we stay up to date on several Facebook pages so we can kind of know what's coming,
right.
Because some things not too interested in, but there are some things like that. Like, it's how, Kendall, isn't that how you found out about the haunted house this past year for the Bay Arts thing?
Oh, yeah, the haunted house. I went through that. I was not a fan.
Whoa.
I get so scared.
Dude. Well, okay, so who did I have on where we talked about this? I was talking about it with somebody, but
I went through it when nobody was even in there, and I was scared.
They went over and beyond with that thing this year. I wasn't a fan of some of the themes that they used. Sacrilegious type stuff, but it's still, though, creativity to do that was a lot, and they did a great job. Yeah, because so Chris Clubs, he worked at Universal.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He worked at Universal for like a long time. Yeah. But he was talking about Halloween Horror Nights
Yeah.
and like the different, and I was explaining like the in-depth,
Yeah.
how in-depth they went with this haunted house
Yeah.
here. And he was just like, wow, really? And I was
Yeah.
like, dude, it was like some professional grade
Yeah.
stuff. Like,
Yeah.
they did a really good
Yeah,
job
they really
with
did.
it.
And they had like a pretty small team, from what I understand, that put that all together.
It seems like they're doing stuff all the time there though now
Yeah.
too, because they've got that, what is that, like fake turf that they have out there in front?
So it is real grass.
Is it really?
It just
Oh,
looks
okay.
very nice. Yeah. They
Yeah.
had a wedding out there last Friday night.
Did they really?
On the grass. Yeah, crazy.
See,
Never
but
would have thought.
I think that that's the type of stuff that we need downtown.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. So we try to stay up to date on several social media pages that let us know what's coming downtown. Then St. Andrews is another place. That's
Oh yeah,
kinda
St.
blown
Andrews
up.
is great. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of remember growing up as a kid, you know, because I'm a St. Andrews guy.
Yeah.
I grew up in St. Andrews, but what's the name of that park that's down there?
Oaks by the Bay.
Oaks by the Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Oaks by the Bay, when I was growing up, was a rundown
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
Like you just didn't go there.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that you did. Now they've got events going on there all the time.
Yeah, because I haven't been down there, but I'm pretty sure that's where they have their farmers market now. It's literally in
They
the
have
park.
the farmers market there. They have like a jazz festival there
Yeah,
now.
I remember that, yeah.
And then I mean, their Christmas light display.
Yeah.
They started doing that Christmas light display. I want to say like the year that I went in the military, because when I came home, I was like, dude, this is great.
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
Hurricane Michael played a little bit of a part in some damage
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Did you have your business during Hurricane Michael? Or?
I had J. Kelly Designs, but that was really when I was working in banking whenever that happened. And thank goodness, because the company I worked for took very, very good care of me. Because my house was like, I couldn't live there. But yeah, I'm thankful I was not completely self-employed during that time.
Yeah, you now that's another thing. So you were at Trustmark.
Yes.
You were there for a while, right?
I was there for about 4 years, but altogether I was in banking for about 8 years. I got into banking as soon as I got out of high school.
What did you do there?
So I did kind of a bunch of different things, but whenever majority of my time at Trustmark, I worked in the mortgage department, which is where I was working whenever the hurricane hit, which was a very interesting time to work in the mortgage department. Yeah.
Was there like a?
It was because you would just, I was considered, it was called a mortgage market sales coordinator, which is a mouthful. Why they gave me that title, I have no idea. But I was an assistant for, her name is Nicole Chesbrough. She's been in the industry for like almost like 30 years. But because of that, we always had like a lot of loans that we were closing. And like the hurricane was like hitting, and like we had closings scheduled. Like people are moving out of their house to like move into new houses. And then we had so many deals that they would just like drive up to the house that they were wanting to buy, and it was like not there, damaged. So it was crazy. But I mean, Trustmark didn't really, I mean, obviously we cared about our customers, but they're like, we're worried about like your safety. Like they had like people coming out to our houses and like tarping the houses and all the things. But then what really got crazy, and I don't know if you remember this, but the state had the Hurricane Michael grant funds, and it was like $15,000, and you could use that money to buy a house. And so for about like 2-3 weeks, we were focused on, fixing our own houses, and then people are already ready to buy houses again. And that's when the real estate market just like blew up. I mean, it was crazy. I've never in my life closed that many mortgages, and it was just a wild time because the rates were really low too.
Yeah, I wasn't around during Hurricane Michael.
Yeah.
I know Kendall was. Kendall was on site at NSWC PCD. He was working comms. I was actually, my family couldn't contact me.
Oh, yeah.
Me and my wife weren't married at the time yet. And she couldn't contact me. And I ended up finding out about Hurricane Michael, I mean, a couple days after it had already happened. And then I was like on the phone trying to contact my family, and then there was no there was no like I would call, then it'd be like, doo, doo, doo.
So I was like one of the few people that had AT&T service.
Yeah.
And those were the people that did have service. So I remember we stayed with some friends, my sister and I, whenever the hurricane actually hit. And like, we were the only.
So you stayed?
Oh yeah, I stayed. Yeah.
What part of?
I was up in Southport, kind of across from White Oak. So I mean, I was far enough up 77. We stayed, and I had my sister, and then I have like a huge pit bull. He's like 100 pounds. And he like literally we filled up all of the bathtubs with water because obviously we're like, well, we're going to lose power.
Yeah.
And then I lost my dog. Well, he was in the bathtub in the clean
Oh,
water.
no.
But it's because he was so scared. And so we lost power like so fast. And the neighborhood I was staying in really wasn't hit that badly. But I literally let everyone like use my phone to like call their families. And I was like, all right, I'm leaving. And so I took me and my younger sister and we went up to Atlanta and we just drove like straight up there. And I remember as soon as we got up there.
So you drove up to Atlanta after the hurricane hit?
Yeah, like literally the hurricane hit.
So how far up off of 77 were you?
I was just like right past like the co-op, so like the road that you would turn on to go to the airport. So maybe 20 miles from Lynn Haven.
The road to Atlanta. So what, you probably took 77 up to like Dothan?
Yeah, I didn't really have any issues. Yeah.
Really?
And I just remember once I got to Atlanta, I was in the grocery store and it was like Panama City and it was like the whole town. It was kind of like a out of body experience almost. But the lady that I worked for, Nicole, she was literally on her way to the airport and not a tree fell over there. And she was taking one of her nieces and her niece actually flew out the same day that the hurricane hit.
What?
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy.
Like before? I mean, I guess it would have.
Yeah, it was like right after it hit. And she just
what?
flew home. Yeah. And she was in the airport too and was like watching and she's like, oh my God, like what, like this is insane. And the
plane was able to take off. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Yeah. With the amount of wind.
Yeah. It was
because
freaky.
Even after Hurricane Michael hit, I mean, you guys still had a lot of wind here.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
That's insane.
It was crazy. But yeah, no.
So you ended up fleeing
I went straight to Atlanta. We stayed up there for about 2 weeks. And then I was like, I got to go home. Like I have to go like check on my house.
I have a job.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was crazy. It feels like a long time ago, but it really wasn't that long ago.
It really wasn't that long ago. 2018. I mean, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
7 years ago is a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel that way because well, and that's the thing, right? Like, Hurricane Michael didn't just last a day. Hurricane Michael lasted months.
Yeah.
And even some of us are still dealing with Hurricane Michael daily, just depending on, man, dude, debris cleanup.
Oh, yeah.
Because, okay, so you said you live in Southport.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Lynn Haven. So I live in Hawks Landing, which is near Bay Haven. And across the street from Bay Haven, near Rails to Trails, that new pathway that they put in, over there behind like the hammocks, there's a portion of woods that's there, and it's still destroyed.
It's crazy.
It tore up, and it's an eyesore. It looks horrible. And it's kind of hard to make a complaint because it's like there are places like that all over the place, and they're trying. They really are, and I think that they have done a really, really good job with debris removal over the years.
Right.
Because when I came here after Hurricane Michael, I came here in December of that year. I came back, and I came in at nighttime, and so I lived down 19th Street near Lucille Moore. My parents, that's where my parents lived, and so when I was coming down there, I mean, there was no street lights still. There was, I'm talking trees that were just on the side of the road that hadn't been completely cleared.
Yeah.
And I remember waking up at like, I think it was like 4 a.m. I wanted to go for my run. And like I couldn't even run down the sidewalk. Yeah, and that was in December.
Yeah,
I mean that was during Christmas.
Yeah,
I could. You still couldn't. So seeing how fast that because I was thinking to myself, I was like, they're never going to get this stuff cleaned up. It's going to take forever. And I'm actually impressed. Yeah, with how long that it has taken to get that stuff done because it really has.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like, I mean, it's terrible of what happened, but sometimes I wonder, like, if Hurricane Michael wouldn't have happened, what would downtown look like? I mean,
Oh, so you think that because of Hurricane Michael, that's
yeah.
one of the reasons why
I was not down there specifically, but I've heard it like several times during like a couple of different DIB meetings, that they, I think they like, I don't know if they called it a trunk or treat or what they did, but like right after Hurricane Michael, I think they like invited people downtown and was like, let's let the kids like go get like Halloween candy just to have some sort of like normalcy.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they also had Will Thompson, who is a musician, or they had some sort of musician that came downtown and just like performed. And I think like everything was like still ripped up from Hurricane Michael.
Yeah.
And they said like it was just this just like moment. And I think it just kind of like in a weird way kind of like
formed it.
Yeah.
So you think that after Hurricane Michael, a lot of people started taking a little bit more of pride in downtown, and we're like, you know what? Maybe
I
we
think
should.
so. I mean, I don't know.
Isn't that when we started seeing most of the improvements?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the timeline, it does kind of make sense. And I don't know, like, I don't know if people like, you know, going back to the grant thing, I don't know if they got money to be able to, you know, fix the buildings. Like, I don't know if insurance, you know, money like helped with the repairs and things like that. But it does sound like that was about the time that things kind of changed.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at the history of our country and communities, it does seem like tragedies build things up. I mean, you can even go back to like 9/11 after the towers fell. I mean, dude, you saw an American flag on every corner. Everybody was gung-ho, like, we are America. And then we started building up, you know, a little bit more of a camaraderie based on that. And then I think Hurricane Michael was probably the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like sometimes we need reminders and communities to be like, this is who we are.
Right.
And we come together and we work together to be able to make things happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's something, you know, we don't endorse candidates for political stuff here at the 850 podcast.
Right.
But one of the really amazing things that I just have the utmost respect for Alan Branch on is the fact that he takes politics out of bringing the community together.
Oh,
it's like, I don't care if you're on the right. I don't care if you're on the left. I don't care if you ride a unicycle up between both aisles.
Right.
The choices that we're making today in our community are going to dictate where we're going to be later on.
Yeah.
And so I really do believe that that's the type of things that we need to see, not just in downtown. I mean, I know downtown Panama City's doing it. We need to start seeing this in a lot of other places. And I think we're starting to see it. Lynn Haven is building up. I really think Lynn Haven's they're on that cusp.
Yeah.
Of like they're going to end up.
You're right.
But Panama City Beach, I mean, when you think about it, your area being downtown.
Yeah.
That's kind of like if you grew up here.
Yeah.
That's ours.
Well, and like,
that's, you know,
I never, it was really weird how this like whole thing even like came about as far as Bookish Boutique. Bookish Boutique was not supposed to even be a business that soon. But so I was like, I had my store like in Lynn Haven, and I think it was like a Sunday afternoon or something. I was just like sitting on my couch and I was just scrolling on my phone, and the building that is Bookish Boutique now popped up. And I was like, oh my God, that building is like beautiful. And I had been like looking for real estate with Ashley McLaughlin. And I texted her, I was like, is this for real? Like, buildings downtown don't come available. And she's like, I don't know, let me look. Well, I don't think they were like ready to like make the announcement that the building was for lease yet. And so I went and looked at it, and I never would have thought that I would be downtown. So previous to working at Trustmark, I worked at Regions on Harrison Avenue, which I laugh because that is when the Greyhound was activated. And the Greyhound. So they're like the bus station or whatever. Yeah. So there was a lot of people like passing through, and we at Regions, we did Western Union. So a lot of people would like get off the bus, and they weren't like our members per se. They were just people that needed to pick up a Western Union. Yeah. It was like crazy. Like, I some days I was like, do I work at a bank, or like, where do I work at? Because it was just, there was like robberies downtown all the time. I mean, it was just totally different. So whenever I like had talked to my mom and I was like, hey, I think like this is the building, I think I'm going to move downtown. You know, she was the one that told me, okay, you go to Tommy Oliver, because I was in the band at Mosley, so I was at Tommy Oliver like every Friday night.
You're the band. You're the band over there.
Yeah.
Your band director was. Oh shoot, was that?
There was a couple different ones. When I first started, it was. Gosh, now I can't remember. That was kind of a long time ago.
I was I was in the band at Bay High.
Yeah.
And man, dang, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, but that was when the bands were like huge and stuff, and that, you know, a lot of people like went to the games, but like
that was when your band was huge.
Yeah.
Mosley always had a big band.
Yeah, I always there was like a crazy amount of us.
Yeah. I loved it because we were, dude. I think we marched like 35.
Yeah.
In my 9th grade year, but then. That was under Nerona, and then Nick Estoffiu.
Oh yeah, okay.
He came in as a sophomore, and he like it blew up the band.
Yeah,
I mean, we went from like 35 members to like 80 the next year. So it was something like that.
Yeah,
and it was like, and then it got even bigger, and then it just kept growing. And I had. Went to Arnold. I transferred out there in my junior year because I was more looking for like military, type thing, and I didn't want to be. I was doing like the ROTC thing.
Oh
so I did the ROTC out at Arnold because they had like the best
Yeah.
ROTC program at the time. But I would have stayed in the band at Bay, but. That's crazy.
No.
Sorry. When you brought up band, I was like, man, I haven't thought about band in forever.
Well,
like,
and I want to go, but I have not been to Tommy Oliver since they redid it.
I went last spring.
Yeah.
One of my wife's friends, their son runs track.
Oh, okay.
For Bay. And I went to go, and oh my God.
Yeah, I just want to, I've seen the pictures and stuff.
Completely not even the same place.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a really, really good job. What position, or what?
I say I was in band, but I was actually in color guard.
Really?
Yeah.
My wife was in color guard out at Bozeman.
Yeah. I loved it. I mean, I didn't think I was going to be in band or do any of that, but I had a great time. I mean, I created a lot of memories. But yeah, no, anytime like after the game, my mom's like calling me. She's like, "You're coming back home, right? Like, don't go, further than Tommy Oliver." I mean, so.
Well, even Tommy Oliver, and look, I'm not trying to throw crap on Bay High or anything, but Tommy Oliver was in a rough place back in the day.
Well, and I feel like a lot of the schools have changed.
Bay High.
Yeah.
Bay High, the neighborhoods surrounding Bay High weren't very.
Yeah.
They didn't have the appearance of being safe.
Yeah.
A little
well,
rough
and I
in
feel
that
like
area.
so many of the schools have like changed. I did go to, it's considered Bay High, but it's the Barbara Nelson Fine Arts Center. Like it's that building in the front of Bay High that they just redid.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, but they actually have like Panama City Symphony has like performances and stuff there.
My daughter performed there last year because she was doing ballet.
It's that building is like gorgeous. I mean, same with Mosley. Like they have all these things and stuff. But
I remember back when we had to go to the Civic Center to put on performances because it was, and then so like the fact that I'm not trying to get on the Civic Center topic, but but I will now because Mosley has a great.
I can't remember what it's called.
Their performing arts building is great.
Yeah.
Bay High now has a performing arts. I mean, the freaking Arnold has always had like that a nice stage and everything. So it's kind of like, what do we use the Civic Center for? I mean, we were having events there. What, once a year we'd have it come? No, I'm not trying to be a jerk towards the types of comedians that we've had here, but they're normally like B-list.
Yeah.
Like it's not like we were getting.
And so I did learn some information. So I actually also work with the Panama City Music Association. So I do all of their marketing. And so I've kind of like, I got like a backstage tour to like the Fine Arts building because that's where they perform at, just so I could get like a better understanding of like the background and like all the things. And I can't remember what it's called, so don't quote me on this, but I think it's called an orchestra pit is like a thing. And a lot of the different facilities here don't have that. And that's why a lot of the people that wanted to bring in like big shows, like not necessarily like comedians, but more of like the performing arts shows, they can't do that anymore because they don't have these different pits. And I need to look into it. But I was also wondering, or I had heard that maybe the Martin Theater is not going to have that either, which I was kind of sad to like hear about that. But I don't, you know how it is. Like you hear this information, you're like, is it true? Is it not? But I didn't even like think of there. It's an orchestra pit and then something with the lighting that these other different like arts buildings at the high schools don't have. And because of that, people like PCMA, they can't bring in these really cool acts because they have to have those sort of things. So it's like, once you know, like the other side of it, you're like, oh, okay, do we need something like that? Or like what kind of shows and things does the community want to see? I mean, but
I would be interested to know how they choose who comes, like how that whole process
I know
works.
that PCMA, like they have like a roster of different people that are like actively on tour.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, what budget do you have? And that kind of is what brings people in.
That's the reason why, and I've said it once, and I'll say it again. I said it to Alan Branch, and he agreed with me, and he knew. But it was like every civic center that we've, like throughout the country, is a money loser. Like it costs the taxpayer money.
Yeah.
And if you're not utilizing what they offer, you know, that's the reason why, you know, you talked a little bit about tax. I think you were talking more about an ad valorem tax for like the playground.
Yeah.
So there's like both sides. I'm by no means what I'm about to say. Am I trying to be a devil's advocate? Oh, no. But I am going to say this. When you start talking about ad valorem taxes that you're going to add to citizens for a specific commodity like a playground,
Right.
or a civic center,
Right.
The argument can be made, well, I'm never going to use those things.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be taxed on it.
Yeah.
That's one argument. Now, there's the other side of the argument, which a lot of my friends who are in politics, they like this this idea when it pertains to them.
Yeah.
But it is sometimes you're paying those extra taxes because you want to live in a nice place. You want the reputation of living in a nice place.
Right.
So you got to pay to have those types of reputations.
Yeah.
And so going to McKenzie Park and the only thing that's there is a freaking fountain. Well, you know, don't complain about, you know, oh, I go downtown and, you know, it just seems a little dead. Well, it costs money to do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, people complain about those types of things all the time. And then me and my wife, we spend a lot of time complaining and mainly because Saturday morning comes along or Friday evening and we're either having dinner or we're having breakfast, and it's like, all right, what are we going to do on Saturday? You know, and it's like, okay, well, we can go to the farmer's market like we did last week, you know, and then it's like, what else are we going to do? You know, oh, we'll walk down the streets of Panama City, you know, this week, and having a playground there for the kids, that gives us something to do.
Have you seen the swings in McKenzie Park?
I didn't know that
they
we had
have swings with cup holders. Okay.
Oh, I
We're
did not know
moving
that.
on up.
I have not. I haven't been to McKenzie Park. I mean, I think we walked through this past weekend after we ate at a history class.
Yeah.
And they were closing up shop for all the. But other than that, I would never go to McKenzie Park. I would go to McKenzie Park if there was a playground.
Yeah.
I would go there.
I hope that it happens. And maybe my opinion is it's not a good one because I do have kids. Like there's people that don't have kids and they're going to be like, well, why, you know, we could be using the money for like something else. But one of the biggest things, and I only hear this because I go to all of these meetings downtown, is people want things to do with their kids so bad downtown. And like, I would love to see a children's museum downtown.
Dude, I'm telling you.
But I mean, I don't know if it would ever happen. You know, if somebody's listening, if you want to do that, I think it would be great.
We live down in Tampa. So that's one of the reasons why me and my wife, we tend to have these discussions because I moved my family down to Tampa for about a year, and when we were down there. There is no, like, you don't wake up any days during the weekend or even during the week and go, what are we going to do? Like, there's things to do.
Yeah.
They have children's museums that are down there. They have actual museums that's down there. They have, I mean, the idea that, and I think what we're trying to do downtown Panama City is to have this district where you got restaurants, you got shopping, and, you know, you got outdoor areas where you can just hang out. And literally, what the direction in which I see the vision is just driving downtown, park in the car, and you'll find something to do.
Yeah.
And that should be the goal.
Yeah.
But in Panama City, or just throughout Bay County in general, right now, it's like you wake up and it's like, what are we going to do?
Right.
Well, we're going to go walk around Pier Park, or, you know, we do have a little bit more events, though, I think.
Yeah.
We've added a lot of events over the years.
Right.
Seabreeze Wine Festival, which has kind of always been around. But then there's all these different types of festivals that are going on now.
Yeah.
But a lot of this is on the beach.
Yeah.
And for the tourists, you know, again, I'm going to bring up, we're getting a Topgolf. Oh, we're getting Dolly Parton's Pirate Adventure. Oh, we're getting, you know, Dave and Buster's. That's really good for those companies.
Right.
But we have local businesses here that they need a piece of the pie as well when it comes to the tourism that comes in. And you have to start by making places like downtown look good.
Yeah.
And again, I think that they're on the right path.
I think so too. I'm just excited to see what it's going to look like in the next year. I mean, I don't know if you saw, I've been trying to like post about it because I know that the company's like busy like building it out, but have you seen that they're having or opening an inflatable water course? It's kind of like, I don't know if you've been on a cruise before, but you go to like an excursion and it's like literally like, an obstacle course, but it floats on water. They are supposed to open in March, so really in the next couple of weeks, but it's right off a beach drive. I mean, so it's slowly up and coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why I kind of, you know, I think my fiance was like, you're crazy. Like, you really want another business. And I'm like, I just want to be a part of a community. Like it's very different than my other business. I want to be around people. Like, I want to have events, and we do a lot of events at the bookstore. And I also want to be around other people that are self-employed and like, you know, are passionate about their business. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like I kind of hit the jackpot with downtown with that. But
I do have a question about that though.
Yeah.
So before the construction started, do you guys pull any sort of data to know where your customers come from?
Yes and no. So,
because what I was gonna ask was, like, do you know how many tourists that you were getting before the construction?
It was so much.
Was it really?
Yes. And like, I feel like that's like a foreign thing to talk about, but when I had and I can only compare it to the other business that I had, but my other business in Lynnhaven, like, we just had locals. We were not seeing any tourists. So when I moved downtown, I was just like, oh, locals, cool. You know, they're going to grab a bite to eat, whatever. Well, we opened like the end of January, so off season. And I was like hustling, like posting us all over social media. I was really heavy into posting us on TikTok. And like, as soon as March hit, I remember specifically it was St. Patrick's Day weekend, so middle of March. It was literally insane. We had a TikTok that like blew up. We had people that were like driving like 4 and 5 hours just to come to the bookstore. And they would tell us that. And they were staying at Hotel Indigo. I mean, it was just like, it was weird. I was just like, this is crazy. Like, I just never thought people were coming to Panama City.
Yeah,
and it's funny.
I never would have thought that you would have had a lot of tourists.
Now, I think the people coming, they think they're in Panama City Beach, which I don't ever correct them. I'm like, whatever you think, I'm just glad you're here. But I mean, because they see the water, like beach drive or whatever, but they love it. I mean, and I think in a weird way, like, people, I'm guilty of it. You know, you live here and you're just used to all the things. You're used to the farmers markets and all the things. We have a lot of people that drive down from Alabama, like rural Alabama, and they will literally drive. There was one lady specifically, I haven't seen her in a little bit, but she would drive down every Monday and from Alabama just to come buy books. She's like, I don't have a bookstore where I live at. I just like to come here because I like to talk to you guys. I like to hang out. But yeah, no, tons of tourists. I hope that that's the same this year, so we can see people that we saw last year that were on vacation. We had this couple that visits for a month from Toronto, and they came back again this year and like came and sat with us. And we have a wine bar in the bookstore now. and they like had a glass of wine, and they were probably like in their like 60s, 70s, and they just hung out for like 3 hours, and we were just like talking, and they were talking about what they were going to do for their month. So I mean, yeah, no, I think because of what Destination Panama City does, they're really good about capturing people that are coming here on vacation. They do, you know, they market St. Andrews, they market downtown, and I think they have been like a huge help in kind of getting the word out there, like, hey, we have this cool like St. Andrews area, we have this cool like downtown district. You know, you can still do all these different things you want to do on vacation on this side of the bridge, essentially. So yeah, no, we saw a ton of tourists last year. Yeah.
So being somebody that has something, I mean, you're invested in Panama City now,
Right.
like financially, and also blood, sweat, and tears, and hours, and so I will ask you, not really trying to get on the political side of things, but as far as some of the improvements that Panama City talks about, Martin Theater, Marina, this path through, how much do you think that stuff kind of impacts you as running a business downtown?
People definitely ask about it. I mean, they want to like know like our thoughts on it. Whenever the Martin all came about, I mean, I was so like just like tunnel vision into opening the business, because I literally got the keys and opened the store in 25 days. So I was like, I don't care about anything going on. I just need to get this store open. But the one concern that I have, and I think, again, my opinion is a little bit different because I'm the one experiencing it, is there's a lot of different improvements and like different like road construction, whatever that needs to happen. And I know that there's never a right time, and that's like what everyone says, and I get that. But I think that's one thing that, you know, part of the Martin upgrades, thank gosh, but they planned it together as far as the Streetscapes project, because they also have to do underground stuff. So they are doing it all together. The two companies are working together, so that helps there. But I think the biggest thing is just whoever decides, whether it's the commissioners, whatever, you know, taking bids, what have you, just like kind of keeping the businesses in mind whenever that's taking place. Because, you know, you lose parking, you lose like, you know, how you get downtown, where you drive, all the things. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not super huge into the politics. I definitely like pay attention to everything. Like I keep up on the commissioners' meetings. And I would like anyone that's like listening, if you never really know what's going on and you just like read on social media, all of these different meetings, like the Downtown Improvement Board, the commissioner meetings, like you can go to those. Like you don't have to be a business owner. You don't even have to live in Panama City. I mean, it's like an open door, like, you know, meeting. And that's where I go for my information, because there is so much misinformation out there. And it definitely depends on where you're getting the information from, and maybe, you know, what they believe should happen. I would love to see improvements made downtown, but I just, you know, whatever they decide to do, I just hope that they keep the businesses in mind.
Yeah, the misinformation thing that you're talking about is a huge thing in our community. I mean, I think it's everywhere. It's probably in every community.
Yeah.
But
well, and social media is like, you know, the main cause of that, I feel like.
Social media is the main corporate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, because we've had on quite a few politicians. I know you said earlier, you're like, I thought you only did political stuff. And I was like, oh, we cover everything. But most of the politicians that we have on, I mean, they set that's the reason, man, dude, that's the reason why we started the podcast.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where you flip over your app on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and somebody's just on there just running their mouth about what is going on.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I guess that's what's going on. And then you find out a couple days after that, it's like, actually, no, that's not what's going on at all. This is what's going on. And you're like, oh, and then you start to believe that. And then next thing, and it's like, you know what? I'm just going to call up the commissioners and I'm going to have them in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be like, hey.
Or email them. They'll respond.
What is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's kind of like part of that is like, I want people to know that, first of all, not every politician in this town, county, whatever, in the nation is a corrupt jerk.
Yeah.
Right? But they there are those out there.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is I want people to know what's going on.
Right.
And going to the meetings, you're right there.
Yeah.
You can go. You can
I know, and
go
the
across
meetings
street.
are sometimes really hard to get to depending on the time.
I can hear that they can get kind of lengthy too.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, getting that information that's out there, because especially with downtown Panama City and these improvements that's been going on, I think that a lot of people have been under fire, and I think that genuinely, everybody who sits up there on these boards that you're talking about, they care about the community.
Oh yeah,
they want to see it.
Yeah.
So on that topic, I know that you're for the playground.
Yes,
I am with you on that. In fact, before you leave, I want to know when the next meeting is. And you could probably show me where I can look that stuff up.
I'm trying to think. Yeah,
I'm very interested in that. Obviously, I don't live in Panama City, but I mean, I can help, as much as I can. But second of all, what are some improvements that you would like to see come to downtown Panama City? That it could be restaurants, it could be museums, it could be whatever.
Get my notebook out.
What are some things that you think that would actually help your business for coming down there?
So, Children's Museum, number one. I would love to see that happen. I don't know the logistics. I don't know if there's a reason why we don't have one. I think it would be nice. Everyone wants a children's indoor playground, but I think people don't understand there's no way to pay the overhead cost on something like that.
Oh, really?
You have to find a way to make money. Look at the Drip. Inside North Star Church, they are able to provide an indoor, venue, playground, whatever, because they offset it with the coffee. So you kind of have to figure out a way to make that work.
We went to Atlanta last year in the June, and we went to a mall. We went out there for an Atlanta Braves game.
Yeah.
We went to a mall, and they had an indoor playground in the mall.
Yeah.
And you had to pay per hour.
And I don't know if people, I don't know. It's would people want to pay for that? I think sometimes people have great suggestions
if
for
you go across the street to history class and grab a beer and then go.
Hey, we are a part of the social district, so you can do that.
That's something I was going to bring up earlier. And I was like, no, I knew that they're part of it, because when you were talking about the playground, I was like, dude, that would be perfect. I could go to history class.
No, you can.
I get my truffle fries with a beer. And I could literally walk out there, get in one of those fancy swings that you're talking about.
I love the social district. So we partake in that because we have the wine bar. And I think it's great.
Wine bar?
Yeah, we have the wine bar inside the bookstore. So
You have a wine bar?
Yeah, we have a wine bar.
You didn't say that? I did not know that.
I forgot to add that to my thing. It's very new. We just launched it about a month ago.
So did you have to get a beer and wine license?
Yeah, that was quite the experience. I'm really glad it's over.
Well, I heard that. First of all, liquor licenses are almost impossible.
Yeah, and we do not have one of those.
Yeah. And so the beer and wine though it's less expensive, but the process.
It's still a process. Yeah.
The process So what kind of wines?
So we have, we actually partner with a local distribution company, but they only carry small, not locally owned, but small, farms. And majority of them are actually women owned or women affiliated, which kind of works really well with our brand. But we have a couple, majority of them come from California, but they're not wines that you can find in corporate stores. So, they're great wines. We have reds, whites, we have bubblies, we have all the things. But it's fun. I mean, we'll have a book signing going on, and then you'll just have some girls that come in with their girlfriends and grab a glass of wine, and they get to hang out with the author. So it's that whole experience.
The book signings that you're having, are they local people or are they?
They're a mix of both. So we have local authors that come in. We'll have authors we have one that's actually flying to come here from Michigan in March. So we kind of have a mix of everything, but we also have a mix of genres, which I think is super important. Even though I know sometimes people look at our brand and they're like, oh, they only sell romance books because we're a pink brand, but we have all genres. So we do try to do a mix of everything. And so it's fun. And then they leave the bookstore and then they can go take their wine and walk around and visit with the other stores. But I'm for the social district, and I totally see people, grabbing a drink and going and enjoying the playground. But as far as different things I would like to see, I if I had the money, I would do it, but I would love to see a bowling alley downtown. I
Really?
think that would be so fun and just family
bowling
friendly.
alley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not just a bowling alley, like add something in it, maybe like some laser tag, a little candy
Yeah.
shop or something in there.
Yeah, you mentioned Point Break earlier.
Yeah.
Do you know Ben?
Yeah. I've met him a few times. He was actually one of the few people that, I kind of like became friends with because we're right on that, little block right there, but they have a really cool place there.
Ben is a super good guy.
Yeah.
I've worked with Ben. Yeah. I think he was.
That's a little hidden gem that people don't know about.
Point Break is awesome.
I mean,
there's another hidden gem down there. Kendall took me to it the other day. We have a board game.
Yeah, the Portal.
So I was like, oh, you go in there and you buy a board game. No, they have board games you can play while you're in there.
Yeah.
And then they do custom sodas.
Have you ever had their
There's
pickled
a soda shop.
Try their pickled Dr. Pepper. Jason, the owner, will appreciate me mentioning that. They literally
I heard, okay, so the same owner who has the arts building.
Yes. Well, he's not the owner. He's just like the person that runs the building.
Oh, okay.
But it is the same person. He owns the Portal.
Yeah.
Jason, between Jason Kretzer and Alan Branch, Eric Darnell, there's a few more, but those three are the main ones I work with. They are really the reason why so many events happen downtown. I mean, history class, and I've had this conversation with Eric. So Eric works for history class in El Huerto. He does all of their marketing. He did the Star Wars Day. I don't know if you ever saw that.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, that's a huge thing downtown, and that's a free event. And they partner with Bay Arts. So they partner with Jason to try to make those things happen. But yeah, there's a lot of people that, you kind of have to come together to make these events happen. It's a lot of work. I've helped out a little bit, and it's a lot. People don't realize what goes on in the back end of it.
But yeah, bowling alley would be dope.
I don't know. I think it would be cool. It's another family activity. I think people want that. But it's funny that you asked, if there was anything specifically other than businesses, because CRA, they just sent out, or they didn't send it out. They made it available to fill out a survey, and you could fill out a survey and give them suggestions on what they should spend the rest of the money that they have in the budget for or on downtown. And it's district specific. So you can pick St. Andrews or downtown or what have you. But I would love, and I was like, is it going to happen? I don't know. But this is just simple things that aren't super expensive, but maybe adding some speakers to all of the new light poles downtown to be able to play music throughout downtown. I mean, people like music. I mean, it makes it more inviting in my opinion. We kind of saw that down in the Winter Garden, Tampa area. The other thing that I would really like to see, and I didn't realize how expensive this was until I was on the other side and helping with giving event ideas and planning for events downtown, is I can't remember what they're called, but they're pretty much permanent barricades, and they go down into the ground, and then whenever you're having an event, I think they're called bollards. I don't know, but they're pretty pricey, but that would prevent there being such a high cost to have police officers at each intersection, because a lot of events can't happen because they don't have the money to close down each intersection. So it's just, different things like that would be nice to see them invest in. I would also love to see some sort of flower garden downtown. I think Mackenzie Park is a perfect place for that. There's a beautiful one over in Tallahassee. So just, it doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Some of those are things that you could set up organized groups to be able to do, the garden thing. We have Lynn Haven has a garden club.
Yeah.
Actually Panama City does too. I mean, that's types of stuff that they can get involved with to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So,
but I feel they're doing great. I mean, I would never want to be in their position. That's why I just own a business downtown. But I think with time, and also the other thing too is
you still are doing your part though by being a part of these boards.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so important. one thing that I learned is, and that's why I like came downtown, is if you're going to have a business downtown, you really need to be buying into downtown, essentially.
Yeah.
Be a part of these events, be a part of these different boards, and like give your feedback and ideas, because I mean, you know, I'm not going to lie to you, the rent's not cheap down there. So why wouldn't you want to, you know, share your ideas and things? And I think my opinion is different on that, because I came from a place where that was like non-existent. I mean, I was kind of like on my own over there in Lynn Haven, which was fine. That's all I knew. I mean, I just wanted a building. I just wanted to get out of my house. I'm like, I don't care where I go. I just don't want to be working from home anymore. But yeah, so I think just, you know, just a couple things, and then maybe like a directory map downtown would be nice, you know, kind of like what they have in the malls, where you have like the map and then the businesses' names and everything. Because if you're not from here and you're walking downtown, you don't realize how many different businesses are down there. They do have like each business now. I don't know if you've seen this, but they have QR codes in everyone's window, and you scan the QR code and it will bring you to like a map and like a list of events and different things, which is super helpful. But I would like to see a directory downtown, but I don't know how complicated that is.
Maintaining one of those. But yeah, that does seem, all of those things are pretty much
just the
on
little
point.
things. I mean, just the little details. I mean, they're working on all the big stuff. So I'm excited for our area when the sidewalk is done, because we're going to have 3 times the amount of sidewalk, and then we can have seating out front. So like, I'm looking forward to that. So that'll be worth, you know, the painful process.
You'll be able to grab a glass of wine and then go sit outside and read a book.
Yeah. Sounds like the dream.
We have nice falls here, and our winters are mild for the most part.
Right.
Except for this year.
Yeah, until it snows.
Until it snows. So, I mean, having stuff downtown, I'm the type of person, I like being outside anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, whenever I'm doing something, I like being outside. I don't like being cooped up inside.
Right.
So, no, that makes complete sense. I think Alan talked a little bit about that, too, though.
Yeah.
Because I think he's got big plans with, like, another rooftop place and then, other places like that.
Yeah.
So, the sidewalk is going to be a huge factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they did the same thing right there in front of the press. And what's the name of that store that's next to the press? It's in between the press and history class.
It's Sage Boutique. Or there's also
they're even starting
like
to have music right there now. Live music that's there on the sidewalk.
Yeah. Who would have thought? But it just goes to show, like,
Not
people,
when I was a kid.
I mean, people, I think they, you know, they like music. They want to get out and walk around. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think, in just like the next year. Yeah. What it's going to look like down there. So. But yeah.
So are you involved with anything else in the community that you want to talk about, or?
The biggest thing is I'm just, you know, I'm really like passionate about downtown, and just helping continue to just like voice, I guess, like my concerns or ideas as far as different improvements and in events and stuff. Honestly, with what I do at Bookish and how many like events and different things that we do there, it's really hard for me to do more than that. But hopefully, you know, as we grow, we'll be able to do more community involvement. Clearly, like as we like talked about, that's kind of been a little bit limited on what we can do just based with the road construction. But hopefully, you know, business will pick back up, and then we're able to do more things. We do definitely have things that are planned, and we'll kind of see like how the year goes, but we do have some different ways that we want to give back to the community. We just got to get that road done.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Awesome. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Yeah.